Hey, what's up, everyone? Check out what's coming up this week on Legacies. Literally, all he did the whole fucking time was, hey, look at this fucking guy.
And then I enjoyed reading all these comments that are like, that really pissed me off when you did that.
Hey, what's going on, friends? Welcome to another episode of Legacies. I'm your host, Tom Ritchie. Joining me as usual, Mr. Wesley, the Wizard Bowles. Wes, after yesterday and everything we've gone through over the weekend, you are truly the wizard. You've reconfigured the network at the studio. You've done a million things, hardwired this, Wi-Fi'd that, change configuration settings that I'll never know what the fuck to change ever again.
Yeah, we're all set up. New space for me.
New space for you. Yeah, we'll talk about that. That's coming.
New space for me, but yeah, all new network, and we should be all hardwired now. No more technical issues. For those that don't know, I know it seems like it's pretty flawless when we post everything, but we've had some issues in the back end.
Yeah, considering we do this all remote, right? Like, all of our guests are remote. We're remote from each other. I mean, we see each other at least once a week if possible, but yeah, we're fully remote. Taking this to the future, baby. This is like Star Trek.
Yeah, fully remote. Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, we should be pretty smooth sailing. Fingers crossed from now on. But yeah, excited to be back.
Yeah, we got you moved pretty much seamlessly. I think no issues. There's always something that happens, and obviously, on a Good Friday, we're not calling on others. It's you and I. We slugged it all. I think we did more walking than slugging, but we got you moved.
Yeah, it was nice. We moved from apartment to apartment, so there's elevators and stuff like that. We didn't have to do any stairs, which was nice because
it felt like we did.
I've said this 1,000 times. I think I've moved more than anyone I know. I think this is like number 25 or 6 for me, something like that.
Yeah.
And I always keep saying the next time I move, it's movers or nothing else. If there's stairs involved, because I fucking cannot stand moving stuff.
You're a nomad. Like that many times is crazy, and I would never put you through a movie. You've been to my house multiple times, and you've seen the amount of shit. I'm a fucking pack rat, dude.
Yeah, you like to hold on to stuff.
It's like, you ever seen the clips where it's a father and son, and they're like, you know what we need? We need a piece of wood this long. And he's like, I've got it. That's me. That's me. I've got, you need a nut, you need a bolt. Obviously the garage is packed, and thank God storage is coming soon. I can get stuff out of storage.
You've got that random 12-inch 2x4 in the garage that's going to be used for something.
I've got everything you ever need. And when we moved, I did hire movers, and I promise we will sit back and just, smoke a blunt and maybe drink beer or something and watch them move, because I would never put any friend through such a thing. Not on this. There's way too much, man.
Yeah, there's only so much pizza and beer is worth.
Yeah, exactly. It's not worth a broken back, that's for sure. And my back still was cooked, but it wasn't from your move. It was, I think, standing around prepping Easter Sunday dinner and all that standing. Obviously, I've had back surgery, but that just kills it. I call it the slow mosey shuffle when we go shopping or something. Those tiny little steps and standing around murders my back.
What's Easter look like in your house? What'd you guys do for dinner and stuff?
We typically host, so the vast majority of family will come over, and we've got food cooking, and it's usually just conversation, depending on when everyone can get here and show up. Right, we get in Christmas time, that sort of stuff. We get into games and all that stuff, but it's typically just a chance to catch up, right? Get away from life for a minute and see what everyone's doing within your family. Not unlike what we do every single day.
Yeah.
But I'm loving the new background with the TV. That is, I got to get one up here. I mean, you've got some magic and CGI stuff and AI stuff you can do, but
yeah, I have you said you're not a hoarder and stuff like that when it comes to your moves and stuff. I tend to hoard tech. Tech is my
you hoard tech.
I'm a fucking gadget fiend. Of everything. Like if the house ever went up in flames or set ablaze or anything like that, there's one thing I had to save. It's either that TV in the background or the computer that's running all this shit. It's one of those two that I have to save.
Yeah,
so.
Moving that. I mean, I'm just thinking, fuck, I don't really want to be moving this thing, but we got it done.
Yeah.
We got it done.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I'm gonna share something with you, and I don't want you to think of me any less. Okay, have you seen the new Roadhouse movie?
No, the one with the Conor McGregor. I have not.
Yeah. So Jake Gyllenhaal, if that's how you say his name, and Conor McGregor. Listen, I'm an old Patrick Swayze Roadhouse fan. I've watched that movie I don't know how many times, especially when I was younger. When it came out, we would be high AF and just sit and watch it. I didn't have cable. I didn't have anything. I moved out when I was really young, so I didn't have a lot of money. But we had that video and we watched it a ton of times. So I've seen a lot of bad reviews, and I'm like, I just don't care. So I threw it on the other day while I was resting my back, and I actually liked it. It was good. It was good for me.
Yeah. I mean, the OG Roadhouse is a classic for sure.
So,
Like,
I heard you had
especially
balls big enough to come in a dump truck, but so far you ain't showing me shit.
it's a classic. And I think my favorite part of the originals was Jeff Healey.
Oh yeah,
Jeff Healey. For the young guns out there who don't know who Jeff Healey is, and go educate yourself on what a guitar player
he is.
Really
Phenomenal.
is. Especially, I was lucky enough to see him just before he died. He used to own his own pub or bar in downtown Toronto.
What? I didn't know. So you saw him
there. I saw him, and I was actually underage for this. I had a fake ID at the point, and my uncle got me in. But I had the chance to see him. But yeah, I mean, the new one the trailers look exactly like what you're expecting it to be, right? It's an action movie with a bit of a story.
Post Malone's in it at the beginning. He's in a fight scene, and there's like CGI or something, and I'm like, what the hell? That looked really weird. So they use quite a bit of AI and CGI in this, I think. Obviously, Jake Gyllenhaal in real life won't stand a chance against Conor McGregor, but some of their fight scenes, I was like, what? Am I tripping out? Like, what's going on? Are these old acid flashbacks? There's tremors and tracers happening.
I think it depends what you go into there, what your mindset going into it is, right? Like if you're going into that movie going, I'm prepared to watch an Oscar-nominated film, like okay, you're going to have your hopes
happening
destroyed.
At all.
But
not
if
even close.
you go into that going, I just want to be mind-numbingly, I want to sit there mind-numbed for like an hour and a half, watch some good kick-ass action. You're going to get that out of it.
Yeah, for me, I loved trying to relate the new movie to the old one in certain scenes. So the backstory's there, meets a doctor, kind of not falls in love, but there's that romantic twist. And then I can sum up Conor McGregor's role the entire time in this movie. Literally all he did the whole fucking time was, hey, look at this fucking guy. It's the whole movie. Thank God they didn't introduce him until halfway through. And I like Conor McGregor. I think, his time spent in the octagon. Is he coming back? Like, I heard he's going up a weight class. I don't even know what's going on.
That I'm not sure. He does look like he's going up a weight class because the trailers to that movie, he looks
he's
solid.
Huge. He's huge.
Because he's done the gambit, right? He was I think he was all the way down to featherweight.
He went down. I'm not sure which class, but yeah.
He was super light at one point, and then he looks ripped in that movie.
He's huge, but he literally just walks around like this the whole time. His iconic walk in the octagon when he's kind of arms flared out and his back hunched out. He does that the entire movie, and they obviously gave him direction to do that. It was good, but I kept looking at and actually Tanya had got home near the end. What was Sam? The old country dude with the big mustache. My God.
Oh, yeah. He's got the classic voice.
Voice. Yeah. So she's like, has that character been introduced? I'm like, no, and I don't even know if it will be, but I kept waiting for him to call in for support.
Sam Elliott.
Right. Sam Elliott. There was no Sam Elliott, obviously, but there wasn't anyone that really filled that role within it. So check it out.
Did anyone get crushed by a falling bear or?
No, but I won't. No spoilers. There's some scenes that they try to mimic certain things from the old Roadhouse. Yeah, check it out. I mean,
did you check it out? Do you check it out in theaters or is it streaming?
No. It was. I think it's on.
Oh, it's an Amazon original, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. Check it out. It's let me know what you think. You gotta love the classic though, otherwise you're gonna watch it and go, what the fuck did I just watch? Guaranteed. Hey friends, guess what? It's almost t-shirt season. You ready? You should be rocking your favorite brand. Head on over to thehighflyer.ca and check out all the licensed cannabis brand swag that we've got available. From Moto to Victoria Cannabis Company, Smoker Farms, Royal Harvest, the list goes on, and there's more coming on every single week. Check it out, add it to your cart, and be prepped. Sun's out, guns out. I saw a post this morning by Motif Labs, and I had to jump in and comment it. I know we share the account, and Ian and Ryan jump in when they can. And it was Motif asking a question. And they said straight up, loaded question. Do you think that that edibles will ever outpace or become more popular than flower? Or sorry, edibles, was it edibles concentrates or edibles beverages? I believe it was. For me, I think no, it's never going to happen. And I think particularly is because, and everyone was mentioning, not until 10 milligrams increases and all. It's not even that. As last week I explained, the body process is completely different, which means there's a different psychoactive effect. So interested to see if anyone is against the comment I left. I don't think it ever will, but that's me personally.
I think I'm of the opposite mindset. I think eventually, I'm not saying, this year, next year or whatever, but I think it will. Again, coming from someone who was not traditionally a flower person and found myself enjoying it more when I had these formats. Like you said, it hits you different, and the release is different, the timing of everything. And for me, that's one of my more favorable parts of edibles, right? Is that timing and knowing exactly what's going to happen, 40 minutes or an hour or whatever. And I think that there's a lot more opportunity for, we've seen it already. We had Genevieve on last week talking about bath bombs, and I know those are topicals, but there's a lot of different room for product innovation, I feel, on the edible side, which may get more consumers excited to try stuff they've never tried before.
It could. I may eat my words on this, and you still have a lot of new entrants to the industry, ones that may have dabbled or partaken early days, and they're just looking for something different. I look at it as, and I don't know the stats on this, but if we compare it to the alcohol industry, spirits bottled, right, whiskey, gin, whatever, I think are still higher in sales than, you can't really compare the two, but let's use like these new sodas or ones that are pre-mixed. I think Crown Royal has, you can buy a Crown Royal, it's already mixed whiskey and cola, those sort of things. Maybe, but I don't think that those are outpacing the actual bottled spirit sales. And we've come a long ways, right? 1929, and this is why I joke about the illicit market products, and they're still obviously prevalent in the market. But I'm not going and buying a bottle of moonshine out of a Ford Model T's trunk. I don't do that, right? Like, it's a completely different system and framework available, and it's very convenient. And I think that's the one thing, is the convenience, right? A lot of these dispensaries are open a long time. I think the vast majority of them are open all weekend to be able to service, which is different. I'd like to see what happens in the provincial mandates when it comes to that. Like, will they start forcing them to close, or I don't know. But based on that, I think you were a little disappointed. So you moved new area, not too far away, but new area. But you had some feedback about the local dispensary. I think there's one that's close by.
I did. I was in the Grimsby area before, Grimsby, Ontario, for those. And, there was a couple of options in and around that area. Where I am right now in Burlington, the closest one to me,
we're not naming names.
We're not naming names on this one, but super close to me. I'll tell you, the only reason is I fucking cannot stand going into a dispensary and my menu is white dry erase boards. I can't stand it.
Or paper binders.
I get it. That's, yeah, or paper binders. I get it that stock may change frequently and stuff that's on shelves may change, and obviously you need a quick way to be able to adjust pricing and all that other stuff. But I don't know, for someone in the industry like you and I, who at least have some product awareness on different brands and stuff like that, I know usually kind of what I'm going in for. But
it's usually logos, right? The first thing, like, as I get older, as I get more blind, I'm trying to read these things. And even in the paper binders, I'm like, oh my God, I can't even, they're alphabetical. So I need to recall what it was that I may be looking for. But there's that association, that brand association, when you can see the logo. There can't be, I'm not the most technically advanced individual, but pretty good. There wouldn't be that much work involved to hang a TV and get something to serve that menu. I mean, the vast majority of POS, I would think, has some sort of online menu, which would allow for in-store menuing. I don't know. I see that as an option for everyone. I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah, if you and I can set up a fully remote podcast like this, I'm pretty sure a professional business dispensary should be able to have nice
Yeah.
TV
And if
menus
you need help,
displaying the brands that they're
I'll
repping.
pimp out my wizard for a while. But if you need help, contact us. We can get you set up. It's all about, for me, it's brown. It's brand perception, brand recognition, and when you see those logos time and time again, you're connecting, right? And I think that dispensaries that are not there, maybe there's a challenge. Maybe it's budget. Maybe I don't know what it is, but you are not serving the brands that you stock well by just having a dry erase board or a paper binder. It's not working that way for me. And I think that the traffic is probably less. And I'm not saying it needs to be a blowout, everything available, but especially in those shops where there is not product on display behind locked cabinets or in locked cabinets, you have to do more. At least I think.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's just a shame when you walk in and that's all you see, and um, it's hard to make a choice just based on words on a dry erase board, right? You can only see 3.5 gram, 7 gram, 28 gram, and all that so many times repeated with a bunch of names beside them. Again, I'm thinking of it from a new customer perspective where maybe that's their first time in a dispensary and they go, great, oh, and then again, like we said the other day, then you go to the bud tender sometimes and ask, what do you recommend? And, if you get a great bud tender, awesome. You get someone who's like, here's what I recommend, or they're asking you questions and relating, right? Okay, what are you looking for? Why do you having trouble sleeping?
Right.
Are you,
Yeah.
you're looking for some more of an uplift kind of thing? But I think a good chunk of the time, unfortunately, you get a bud tender who, like you said, whatever shirt they're repping that day, whatever,
Yeah.
is clean out of the laundry, that's the brand that they're repping. Or I've been in dispensaries before where you walk in and by the register, they've got some promo products. And the first thing they recommend is this one right here, because it's here and it's easy for me to get you out the door. And,
I do
so
like
yeah,
the weekly picks when you see that there's, 5 to 10 staff and they show this week's, so-and-so's pick. I do like those. And sometimes I will reference those. That's okay for dry erase for me. But otherwise, again, and it's not even newcomers into the industry or, individuals that are looking to partake for the first, second, third time. Been in this a long time. I'm very familiar with the vast majority of brands. And when it's a list, I blank. I'm like, I don't even remember what I came in for. I don't know what I was looking for. And then you end up leaving with a product that was recommended. And you're like, this isn't really what I wanted. On that, I tried a Vacay salted. I think you're familiar with this product. Salted caramel. It was like a turtle. Can I just call it a turtle? It was like a turtle
yeah,
or a pecan
that's, yeah,
cluster or
very
something like
much.
that. It was delicious. I liked it. I'm still getting into the edibles and finding the different ones. That for me, it's just taste. The high is if it's live rosin, great. I try to steer clear of the distillate ones. I don't find that they have the best effect for me. But for me, it's taste. I'm just buying chocolate.
Yeah, the Vacay does a really, really nice peanut butter cup as well. It looks like a Reese's peanut butter cup, really, really
I
nice.
haven't seen that
And
one yet.
I know that the chocolate actually seems to be fairly high quality in those, because you can usually tell when you get a improperly tempered chocolate by the time you open that packaging and the fucking chocolate is it's all over the
Yeah,
bag kind
it's
of
all
thing, or
over
at
the
least
bag.
sticking.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had a couple of those from Vacay and they come out of the package perfectly.
I'd love to get
Really, really well.
I'd love to get my hands on Big Pete's. They do cookies, which is under the
Big
Loosh
Pete's treats.
brands. Yeah. Which is under Loosh brands, which is actually Alex Revich, who is all over the place. You probably remember Alex. Yeah, so he's got Loosh brands. They've got a bunch of different ones under there. Big Pete's not in my area, maybe in your area, so you have to track some down because I really want to try those.
There's one here, you were talking to me yesterday about it, that we wanted to try based on the branding. First of all, the branding is gorgeous, but Lord Jones, we talked about
Oh,
Lord Jones
Lord
a little bit,
Jones, yeah.
and I got the site here, and it's specifically these, like, look at this fucking website. This is
It's beautiful. And this is Lord Jones is part of Cronos, is that correct?
correct. It's Cronos Group. So this is the type of shit you get when you got a bit of a marketing budget, right? And it
Yeah, they've
doesn't
had
take much.
success for sure. Yeah.
They've had success, but it doesn't take much. What I'm saying is, it does not take much to actually get a look and feel like this. This is super well done, very clean. And anyway, just from the branding
I do
perspective, but we
like
were
this.
talking about
Yeah.
edibles.
And I don't know how we had not seen Lord Jones yet. I mean, we do what we can. We refollow a lot of the brands that follow us. And on that, thank you for the support. We love it. But I stumbled across this and I'm like, what the hell? haven't seen this. What the heck? Right?
Yeah, these look delightful, and I'll tell you why they're kind of tickling my fancy a little bit.
Well,
Is
chocolate.
well, chocolate, of course, but I'm a huge, like, I love Maltesers and stuff like
Oh,
that,
yes.
and these
Do you like
scream
hold on?
Maltesers.
Do you like the Maltesers better or the Whoppers better?
No, Maltesers,
Yeah,
100%.
okay, that
Whoppers
was
are
a
good.
very quick decision. No.
Oh, I'm English. I'm
Yeah.
English. I have to like
Okay.
Maltesers.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to. My dad would cuss me out if I said that those are
Okay.
better
Okay.
on air.
Okay. So that's what this is?
I'm assuming looking at this, right? They look very very much like a
Man.
Malteser
I mean,
in the
I
same size,
I
but
haven't even had breakfast yet. This is killing me right now.
yeah, this is a lot. But I'm gonna have to try these salted caramel ones, and these drizzleberry pops
Well,
look
let's
pretty
get a
nice
hold
too.
of, actually, it was you remember this, Amy Prentice. So her brother JJ was at Cronos. So I have to reach JJ, hook us up, man. At least show us where we can find this, or make sure that it's distributed in our province or areas. Please. We're not asking for free samples or product by any means, but now I'm wanting to try these.
I'll do some searching if I can find them ahead of next week's show. I'll see if maybe maybe I'll try and find them
Might be
before
a
next
high
week
flyer
comes.
approved badge coming.
Yeah, maybe we'll take a look at that. But yeah, just the beautiful branding, and that website alone makes me want to try them because of how well it's done, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
yeah,
let me touch on that high flyer badge approval for a second, because there's a lot of product or opportunities we have. Sometimes we're just sent products, and we appreciate that. We will never ever put a high flyer approved badge on a product that we cannot recommend. We won't say anything bad, right? It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't end up on our site. It doesn't end up in our flyers. Um, pick up the game, and figure it out. There's got to be something. Now when you see it, it is genuinely 1 to 2, 3 of us have tried the product. We can get behind it. So that's typically when we see those badges going out.
yeah. And by no means do we do reviews either, because I think reviews are our personal thing, and especially with the effects that cannabis has and stuff like that being different for everyone. This is simply, like you said, we all tried it, we all enjoyed it. Check it out. That's really all it is. It's
As simple as that. Yeah, just like Roadhouse. Check out Roadhouse. Everyone should.
Yeah, your experience may
Let's get
vary,
Jake Gyllenhaal on the show.
We loved
it. Maybe Conor McGregor. Conor, what are you doing?
So I got a quick question for you. Would you consider yourself to be someone who's easily triggered?
I've worked on this. That's a loaded fucking question, dude. I've worked on this a long time.
I'm going to give you some context here. So last night I had an edible and kind of got in bed and stuff. And sometimes I just watch Instagram reels. I get sucked into Instagram reels. And for whatever reason, the Instagram algorithm gods chose last night that I was in the food realm. I was in the food TikTok, the food Instagram, and it was awesome. Seeing great recipes and stuff like that, making myself super hungry.
I like that stuff.
Yeah, ASMR food stuff, and it's like 12 o'clock and I'm starving, but I should go to bed. Anyway, then this video comes across, and I've never been so triggered in my entire life. And I just want to see if you get the same reaction out of this.
Okay, let's prepare for this.
I don't know if there's sound on this, but let's have a look. So you can see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
What is that? Honey? Jam? I can't read any of the comments, so that looks nice. Why'd they do that? Why did they do that? They made it so nice.
That's exactly what
they
I
did
said.
it on purpose.
And I don't know,
these fuckers do this stuff on purpose, right? Look how,
I don't know
look
if
how
it
nice
was just
this looks.
because I was like beautiful, like a little bit stoned last night, and then it was like, oh, they're doing that so beautifully. It looks so nice. And then they swiped the blade across the bread.
Just mess it right up. Yeah.
And then I enjoyed reading all these comments that are like, that really pissed me off when you did that.
Well, I have a minor touch of OCD, as you know. That alone was enough to first of all, you're showing me food and I still haven't eaten, and you're killing me with this. It's good up until that point, until they smear it all over the place. Curious what everyone would think of it. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was super triggered last night. I was very upset going to bed.
Yeah. No, it's not so bad for me, other than why? You did such a beautiful job.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think we've got one other. you want to touch on anything else before we head for break for, I think we got next Friday coming up, right?
Yeah, we got next Friday. We didn't mention it at the top of the show, but we finally, I mean, they're not here in the green room just yet. We're going to double check that. But Sam and Gavin from next Friday, I think Sam is, I think he's in like Guadalajara or something right now.
Oh geez. Yeah, I know they were in Edmonton. They did that DJ.
Well, yeah, so we're gonna like truly distill everything that's going on. So they've got different things going on prior to entering the cannabis industry together. But yeah, Gavin had Downtown Defrost in Edmonton. He's been organizing this event for like 9 years or something like that. So we'll understand that. Now, what is Sam doing in, I think, Guadalajara? We'll ask. I'm sure we'll know. And we'll probably be jealous depending on his background. But anyways, yeah, they're joining us. Super excited about that. They have a different vibe, just completely different vibe than the vast majority of the cannabis brands that are out there. One that I can come close to relating to. I think they're a little bit younger than I am. And it seems like the brand is definitely reminiscent of the 90s, the CRT stacks that you saw. So
yeah,
excited about that. Yeah. So let's take a break. And when we get back, we'll have Sam and Gavin from next Friday.
Looking forward to it. Sounds good.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Have you ever considered medical cannabis? You probably should. Chances are you have insurance benefits that will cover that. We at High Flyer Media have partnered with leading medical cannabis provider, Mendo Medical, to bring you an exclusive offer. If you sign up or register using code FLYWITHUS, you'll get 15% off your first order. But the advantage is far beyond that. The selection is one of the best we've ever seen, curated by Jay Schwartz himself. He ensures that every product going out the door meets his high-quality standards. Again, sign up or register with Mendo Medical using code FLYWITHUS. All right, welcome back, everyone. As promised, we're joined by next Friday, Gavin Delainey. Gavin, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing really well. Glad to have you here on Legacies. Sam is gallivanting around the world, so he won't be joining us today, but you gave us a little taste of what he might be up to, but you're not 100% sure. What is it? Something to do with tequila?
I don't know. Mexico, I assume.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. We appreciate you joining. We know that you just came off a massive weekend. How was that? Downtown Defrost, what, ninth season?
Yeah, it's 8th, 9th. I'm losing count. Went through a little bit of a curveball at us. We did a streaming. We basically streamed it one year, and I got to double check. It's the first one was in 2015, so I mean that's 9 years, right? Yeah, it was exhausting. It was a massive success, and I'm already planning for next year. But it's nice to have done.
That's got to be a massive planning endeavor, like huge.
Oh yeah, it requires a small army, and it takes majority of the year. But definitely in the month or two leading up is where majority of the planning happens. But or not planning, execution, I would say.
Yeah. So you guys have some stuff going on in the background. We'll talk about that. I want to go back as far as we can without doing any incrimination. We'll try to avoid some of that. We know you guys got some other businesses and stuff on the go too. So we want to unpack the story of next Friday. So, it's not as common as some of the other cannabis brands that we see. It's very street. It's very hustle. It's very, to me, 90s. It's got that vibe going to it. Obviously we were just at Can Expo. You had the CRT tower happening there, which was super cool. But from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, you and Sam met at an after party to one of the downtown defrosts. Is that correct?
That is. Yeah.
Okay. And how I'm going to start pulling all these little things out from scattered across the internet. But so what year was that?
Oh man, I think it was actually the second downtown defrost. I'm almost certain it was either 2015 or 2016. And I was actually DJing that year, and I closed the festival out. And just to get some more context back up, so at that time the ACMPR had just come out, and I was already dabbling with other friends. I started up a little basement shop, and I was kind of just getting going there. I went and got my ACMPR. I was actually license number 96 something.
Okay.
So I was one of the first thousands to ever get it. And I closed out the defrost that year. I actually booked Sam's nightclub for our after party, and a lot of mutual friends knew what we were up to, and they were just like, you guys have to meet. You guys just have to connect somehow, some way. It's crazy that you guys don't know each other. And I actually tracked him down. Or not only tracked him, I bumped into him on the way on the walk over to the nightclub. His club's called the Church of John.
Church of John. Yeah. We'll plug that a little bit too. Yeah.
Shout out Church of John. And yeah, I walked up to him. I was like, "Yo, I heard you move packs." He looks at me. He's like, "Yeah, I heard you grow them." And literally, not even 2 weeks later, we met up and we started cutting it up and trying to figure out what we could do together. And he had this idea. His family owned a rental property, which is actually the house I'm in now. I ended up buying it. This is the room I'm in is actually one of our first grow rooms.
Nice.
I stripped it apart and
Love
renovated
it.
after things were done here. But yeah, within 2-3 weeks, we were already building our first shop together, and it was a friendship kind of forged over cannabis and business and grew. He's easily one of my best friends in the world, and it all kind of started with that. So it's not it's very rare that you meet a complete stranger and you start a business with him. He's actually living with me at that time after 3 weeks of getting to know somebody. So it was a very organic way kind of flourished. But yeah, that's the inception of Sam and I's relationship.
Very cool. Very cool. So, okay. So you came in at the ACMPR. I was MMAR. I never retransitioned my license. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to go through the bullshit.
Well, they're grandfathered and they have so many perks to them.
Yeah. Plant numbers were way over all the fucking time. So, I mean, that makes sense. So were you growing prior to ACMPR then? Like, obviously you might have had some experience.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was. It was just I didn't think it was possible to get that. I was quite young at the time. I don't even know how old I was. Like that must have been I was in my early 20s. So like
Okay.
getting shops and building them out was kind of like it was still a bit of a daunting task and something I didn't think I was capable of at the time. But that kind of all changed. Yeah, I don't know. I was just growing intense and just kind of doing it. I didn't really think you need license, and I saw an opportunity. I actually drove down to Calgary because they can have licensing clinics here in Edmonton.
Okay.
And, I drove down with my dad, and he got his license, and I was able to be his what do they call it? Designated
DG.
grower.
Yeah, as DG. Yeah. That's where numbers start to explode. We love the DGs that they allowed back in the day because we'll take yours. Yeah, plant numbers just doubled, tripled, quadrupled. Yeah, we were always fearful of anytime there was a noise outside the shop, right? Anytime we would hear something, it's like, oh fuck, who's here? What's going on? Cameras, check the cameras. What's going on, right? But that's a very cool backstory. So, you're coming from obviously DJing, event organizing. Sam's got this nightclub, kind of cool. But then you decide, let's go in, let's go all to it, and we'll figure this out. What were the next steps? So you transitioned into the ACMPR. You guys are living together. You've got some rooms set up. At what point was it, fuck, we can take this fairly big if we've got the right facility? We need to find some investment money. And in those days, it was a lot fucking easier than it is today. That's for sure. But what was that process?
So it started out with a place that, like I said, the place I'm actually in right now, we called it the Purple Palace. We because it was in the basement of a residential place, we actually ran these Caliburn LEDs. I'm not sure if they're familiar, but they're purple.
Yeah.
They're mostly LEDs. Tech has come a long way, but at the time they were the cool ones or what everybody was kind of using. Well, yeah, this place was all lit up purple, and then we got a place that we called the Farm, which was an acreage out in just outside of Edmonton. And that kind of was the next step. Like we always told ourselves, okay, we'll start in the basement, we'll get an acreage, and we'll eventually get it to like some real big boy shops, like so like 100+ lights kind of deal. And what happened was after we started our second shop out at the Farm, a very, very close friend of mine, Lane Trader, he's an exceptional snowboarder. And at this time, I remember back in the day, you guys had a bunch of friends that were trimming in California. That was like a thing back in the day.
We called them trimmigrants back then.
Yeah.
It was, oh fuck, I got a big harvest coming off. Who am I going to bring up?
Like once upon a time, used to make some pretty crazy money. Like they were getting 200+ US pounds. So like I'd have a lot of friends in our early 20s that would go down there and trim. And Lane went down there, and he actually kind of flourished and hooked up with some guys. They're actually called the Trinity.
I've heard of this. They're in a documentary.
These guys were like at the time next level cultivation. This is when diamonds weren't a thing yet. They weren't like, they were just kind of happening. They were like in their preliminary phase. Like the internet was blowing up. Like they never seen diamonds and isolated the what do you call that? THCA.
The
Like you know what?
THCA, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you never saw people crashing the diamonds and separating the chirps. And he reached out to me. He's like, man, he's like, I got this. He started shadowing under that group. Like he started training with them, and they took him off the trim crew, and he started working as a lab tech and lab hand or whatever you want to call it. And we were just chatting on the phone one day, and I was like, dude, like we're really doing pretty well at this weed thing. Like we're starting to get quite a few bulbs. Things are kind of like snowballing. And he's like, man, he's like, how crazy would it be if I came back to Edmonton with this tech that I got from Cali and we brought diamonds to the market? And that is kind of actually where things really took off. And we learned the power of a brand, product innovation, and we saw what our network and resources made that would offer that would make us special. And Sam and I, we figured out how to get the money together to buy all the equipment for hydrocarbon extractions. Lane eventually flew back to Edmonton, and we fired up a brand called Astral Garden Extracts, or Astral Gardens, and it kind of took off. Like this was back when Instagram was not waging a war against cannabis, and we were able to get tens of thousands of followers. Obviously, selling through DM was a pretty crazy thing at that point, and the business kind of took off. We were one of the first people to bring THC diamonds to our market and potentially the country. It did kind of catch on after that. We, in our first year of production, we actually entered the Okanagan Cannabis Cup, and we placed. I have a poster here, so I'm pretty sure we placed second. We didn't win. We placed, I think it was second or third, but that really gave us, showed us what we were capable of doing and what the potential was. So that's kind of how things really started. And the next kind of step of that was after we got into the Okanagan Cannabis Cup, we partnered with partners they're still partners at Next Friday, but these guys had hundreds and hundreds of bulbs out there. Like we saw a potential for cultivation that we never saw or even thought was possible in the city. Guys out in BC, especially rural BC, were doing it on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And we eventually partnered up with them because our claim to fame, so to speak, was because we were vertically integrated. We had the cultivation and extraction ability. We were actually able to bring true, fresh, frozen, live resin to the market, which nobody had seen at the time. Nobody had smelled.
Back then, no, of course not.
Oh yeah, we started to coin different, like as the market got compressed, more people found out about it. We coined, like we did something called zombie resin, which was half alive, half dead, so half fresh, real, and we were able to kind of create innovative products, and it lasted really well. And eventually, it got compressed like anything else. Like everybody kind of jumps on that bandwagon, and lots of guys are doing it. But needing that extra biomass led us to the groups out in BC, because we were able to buy. We just needed so much of the product that we make our own demand, and yeah, that's like I think that's kind of how it all started.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. And so next Friday is a brand or company with Noble Grove, correct? You're still associated, yeah. So how did that relationship start? Was it because we're familiar with Noble Grove guys from way back? But how did that trend?
So that's actually the next half of the story. So we hooked up this group in BC. They had what happened was, at the time for licensing, they were involved with a very, very big LP out in Okanagan. They're still one of the biggest LPs out there. They focus on extraction. At that time, you were able to do a second site amendment. So meaning if you had one licensed site, you could just add them to your file.
Yep. Yeah.
Health Canada quickly closed that gap and made it so that you had to reapply for it. Was basically a new site. Doesn't matter.
I think you can thank Flower Group for that, I think.
Yeah, exactly. They're the exact ones who started this. This is so they thought they could do a second site with flower and ballots. Those were the groups involved, and they found out they couldn't. So my partners in BC actually were invested in that shop, and what they did was they approached us about trying to find them investment or partners to take this thing off the ground and take it to become an LP. We then Sam and I float a bunch of our partners, or not partners at the time, but potential investors at the time who are partners now, to come see the facility, the scale of what we were doing. And that we flew them out there. They saw what they were so down. They wanted to be a part of it. They were down to invest the money and the time and resources to make this place a licensed facility. But one of them, who's my current CEO, Scott Huska, he had a facility in Drayton Valley. He owned a handful of oil field companies at the time, and he had a beautiful, like, purpose built truck bay. It was like somewhere where he stored all of his heavy duty trucks and RVs and tankers and all that kind of stuff. It is massive. It's like 38,000 square feet or something like that. So he was like, I'm so down to invest in this place out in the Okanagan, but you got to come back to Drayton Valley and see our shop. He's like, this is much more interesting. And for us, even though the goal was always to be in BC, we liked the idea of being in Alberta and close to home. So Sam and I went out, had a look at the shop, and we're like, this is perfect. It's beautiful. It's clean. It was brand new. Like, we had checked out so many shops at that point. And between Vancouver and Edmonton, like endless shops that build this LP. And yeah, that's how it all started.
That's cool. Scott's a cool guy, man. He's a cool guy. He's down to earth, understands, he has vision, and he just hustles. We got to respect the hustlers, right? Not unlike what you guys do with Next Friday. So one question, because you guys are huge into microprop and tissue culture, that is not typically associated with ACMPR licenses or MMA. I mean, if someone came to me, back in those, 2000, I don't even know, 9, 11. Hey, do you want to do some microprop? I'd be like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Is that a new drug? I don't understand this. But you guys have a massive genetic library. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's all tissue culture now. Is that correct?
That is correct. So you're like nailing the sequence of how this all happened, because like you said, it's not something that's common. So after we had won the trust of these investors, we were starting to get pretty deep in the planning of this project. Sam and I knew the responsibility and pressure we had as the the people who knew what they were talking about. We knew what it took to be successful in this game. We knew that an arsenal of genetics. We saw the writing on the wall. Like, once upon a time in the black market, we were selling either Kush or Reds.
That's right.
I mean, that's all it was. And you could sell 100 pounds of one thing and nobody gave a shit. And eventually it started changing. And nowadays, you buy a 100 pack, it's like, I need 20 strains, 5 pounds each. It's insane. Like, the variety is truly the spice of life. It's what the consumers look for now. Now that we have a much more mature understanding of the market and the product. And we knew that was going to happen. It was already happening in the black market. At this particular time, we were watching Aurora sell hundreds of thousands of grams of blue dream to the masses.
I remember that one. That SKU drove us nuts. They were one of our clients way back, and they were introducing new cultivars consistently. We're like, holy fuck, your data is getting messed right up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Nightmares, PTSD.
We saw that starting to happen. We're like, so two things. We saw lots of other groups failing, bringing dirty black market cuts into a shop. Full transparency, we battled with spider mites and powdery mildew in the black market. If you took over a bad shop or bad cut, it's just something you as a commercial cultivator at that point were dealing with. You know what I mean? And, there's a lot of ways to deal with that stuff. And we took, lots of guys just nuke their crops. They spray all types of
it was fucking horrible, man. It was horrible.
We were one of the first groups to start, in our circles, to actually start using beneficials and using a more organic IPM approach. So, but we realized that we needed clean starting material, and we needed a variety of strains. So, unless we were going to spend tens of thousands of dollars declaring seeds, or tens of thousands of dollars starting up, commissioning a shop, growing seeds, we were kind of doomed for failure if that was the case. So,
and you're at the mercy of all these other companies to supply you, right?
Exactly. It was crazy. We saw the way that obviously when this first started, you could only buy them from like legit, whatever.
Yeah, it was bullshit.
Canopy quickly scooped them up. So we saw it, they changed it. So they made it so you had a window, the declaration amnesty. So what we did was we built a tissue culture lab in the hills of Oyama. It's like a little wooden shack on our buddy's acreage. We hired a couple of gentlemen from the UBC that specialized in plant virology and had a basic understanding of tissue culture. And for a year and a half leading up to our license date, we took every single cut that we had and beyond. We'd get some from friends, we get anything we could.
Anything you get your hands on. Yeah.
Exactly. And we started to basically onboard them into our tissue culture lab. And what we did was we built up an arsenal of our genetics. And the day that we got licensed, we packed them all up into a truck and shipped them to the facility.
Nice.
And so every single cultivar you see that is in our facility has never seen the walls of any other building besides that little test tube we put them in originally and our facility. And because of those efforts, we've never had any type of pests that, we never had spider mites. We have things that live in the soil that we're still dealing with, but we've never had powdery mildew. We've never had spider mites. We've actually been able to mitigate and get rid of a lot of those issues we had previous. And starting with the certified clean starting material has been imperative to our success.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it makes sense.
Yeah. We've been able to kind of expand on our tissue culture departments. We have lots of, our tissue culture lab is quite state of the art. I don't know if you can make a nicer tissue culture lab out there. And yeah, it's been a big proponent to our success as a brand and a facility. So
yeah. How does Next Friday judge longevity of a certain strain or cultivar? Is it based on the way the sell-through is? Is it people are getting tired of this? Is it competition and compression in market? Because if you're sitting, that's the thing, right? So you as head of cultivation and deeply rooted in that aspect, for me, it was, I love popping seeds. I love doing pheno hunts. You're right. But it was, man, you're growing Master Kush and it's giving you the yield. In those days, obviously you wanted yield and potency, and which is not unlike now. But I loved popping seeds. I love getting a new one, right? I get my hands on Pineapple Express. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to try this out. I run a crop and I'm like, for fuck's sakes, like there's no year, right? That's not anywhere near it needs to be. So how does Next Friday judge, you know what? It's time to bring a new cultivar into rotation here. Because you already have a bunch in rotation.
Oh yeah. There's no real rhyme or reason. We've done a lot of experimenting throughout the years. Like I'll kind of take it back to the beginning. So at the early stages of the market, we believe that good weed we basically thought that we could not participate in the potency race. Our strain, Blueberry Fuego, was one of our lowest potency strains, and it was actually the strain Sam and I made a decision to take the market first because we thought that with our brand representation and also how like the flower itself is something that sold so well in the black market because it's bag appeal, it's nose, and it's smoke. And we thought that those three characteristics would basically outweigh the potency. And it actually worked. We took a 22% strain to market as the Blueberry Fuego was our first product offering. And people were very receptive. And to this day, it's still our flagship strain. We sell the most of it. But with that being said, it yields like shit, potency is low, but every other thing checks the box. Now, that worked at the time, but nowadays the price compression and the potency race has gotten so out of control that we have had to focus on things like yield, terpenes, and potency,
right?
And making sure things are commercially viable to a certain extent. Like people think we're crazy, but we still do 11 to 12 week strains, like our Mutant Tire Fire and our Kitchen Sink. They're GMOs, but
like the investors, for instance, maybe they think you're insane.
Yeah, but on the flip side, that Mutant Tire Fire was the first strain that we had over 30%. It's the first one that had 4% terps. And from a production standpoint, it hits all those metrics that we need to basically keep the lights on. So to answer your question, like we don't really have a rhyme or reason on how we picked them. At the end of the day, Mutant Tire Fire was actually our first seed that we pheno in the facility. And I kind of bridged the gap between cultivation and sales. I spend majority of my time actually doing sales with Sam and Scott. I handle a lot of the key accounts abroad. I spend a lot of time on the road, but our master growers have had to dial back on their cannabis consumption because of how much it actually takes to grow cannabis at this scale. So that's where I bridge the gap. It's definitely getting difficult to do now. You know what I mean? Like, but to satisfy the markets, craving for more and all these different strains. It is getting tough, but we've been able to kind of like develop staples or flagship strains within our offerings. But to answer your question, there's no real rhyme or reason these days. We're just trying to, we put things out, we see how receptive they are, we'll continue to cultivate them if they do well, and we'll pull them away. We've had strains that didn't work, that we had to, basically remove from the lineup.
Yeah. So I know from previous discussions, you and Sam are predominantly involved in the marketing, the branding, getting it out there. Obviously, you just touched on the sales. We always say, branding will get a customer once, the quality of the product will get them there a second time, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen this specifically with Next Friday. I've been longtime supporter. I think that, any of the products I've tried have been phenomenal. I also like the brand though, right? So, because I can relate to it in some way, shape, or form. Not everyone can, right? So at what point, because we see this a lot, right? Some of the other companies, they have dedicated marketing teams. They weren't there at the beginning, right? They came in, they were hired in later. Maybe they're also doing social, that sort of thing. How important and crucial is it to Next Friday that you remain involved in that marketing? Because it's got to be from your heart. You can tell.
It's extremely crucial, and I honestly just it's kind of what's made us so unique. We always tell people what you see and hear is all Sam. What you smell and taste is me.
Okay. I like that. I like that. That's cool.
So Sam is definitely the creative director. He's made the brand is, he's a big proponent of the way the brand's kind of been unveiled. He's the creative director. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Also head of cultivation for a big part of the product. It's just me, Luke, and Jarl kind of oversee that. To your point earlier, like we said the same thing. Like a good branding, because of the way things work in the Canadian market. A good brand or a fancy jar, something that will get you once, but the product inside is what creates the brand loyalty, and that's something we've done. I believe we've done very well as a group and a brand. We have extremely well brand loyalty. You will never catch flower in one of our jars that wasn't cultivated by us. We do not backfill SKUs with cheaper product from somebody else. Some people think we're nuts because it's just it's getting crazy out there. But we've never done that. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, staying true to your roots and history is obviously important. And the naysayers that are, oh, you need to source it, you can get it cheaper. Fuck them. Like, just stay true to who you are, because that is where you're going to see that longevity and Next Friday live on into the future, as far as I'm concerned, anyways. And
no, you're 100% right. That market is not sustainable. We're seeing it now. Like all the guys who are just dumping gear for under cost, that is not sustainable, and we've known that from the day one. We've been battling that the market compression from that respect for years. And our whole ethos and our prerogatives that we think we can outweight, we can outweight them. You know what I mean? Like we can stay afloat. And one day when all those guys disappear, and it's happening quick, very, very quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because you cannot grow weed for $1 and sell for 50 cents for forever. These companies are burning up public investor money. They're just shitty. You know what I mean? And the writing's on the wall. It's not going to last forever. So as long as we keep fighting the good fight, we'll eventually win.
I think if I can jump in as well, I think a lot of your success too, I think comes with the people you're surrounding yourself with. I think, Tom and I had a chance of meeting Alex at Can Expo, and if you're hiring people like that to rep your brand and stuff like that, I think that just takes it to the next level too, right? She was amazing, right, Tom, when we were there repping that booth? And
well, I said it for a reason. She held court, man. I mean, it didn't matter. She could be talking 3 conversations at the same time. We've seen this a lot. We've been to a lot of different expos, both in cannabis and out. That is a thankless job. Obviously, you guys support her very well, but she does a phenomenal job, as what exactly is it? I don't want to call her an ambassador because she's so much more for Ontario.
I can't take full credit for. I actually didn't find her, so to speak. One of my colleagues, he's my business development manager, Jesse. He actually put the word out, and he saw the potential in her, brought her on board. And since then, we've just seen her flourish and fall into the role in ways that I can't even. I'm just so grateful for while she's taken on the position, and she's just the perfect person for it. I've gotten nothing but endless positive feedback from how she's been representing our brand, how well she did at the Cannabis Expo, and her efforts on the road beyond just on the camera or on socials. Like she's been doing an amazing job, and I couldn't ask for somebody better to represent our brand. But as far as her like role or title, like she's our presence out east right now. Like Sam and I live in Alberta. We try to go there as much as possible, but it's far. It's expensive.
Yeah. People think it's right next door, but that takes that takes time.
And the cost of accommodations down there and being able to have a presence when you're shipping yourself back and forth gets pretty crazy. So she, like she's our territory representative or ambassador, whatever I don't call that. I don't know. She's just
Titles don't matter so much. She's good. She's holding it down for you guys.
yeah.
That's for
Everybody
sure.
sees what she's doing. She's up or not there, and I couldn't ask for somebody better representing the brand right now. So I'm excited to see what's next for her. To be honest with you, she's absolutely, and I'm
Hold tight. Everyone's going to be trying to get her, but hold tight. I think she's pretty loyal to Next Friday. You can tell. And why wouldn't she want to be? So let's stay on branding for a minute because I relate a lot to some of these things I've mentioned before. Who's Drop Top E30?
Sam's. I have a green E36, but he has a red E30.
Okay. I was curious. I'm like, was that for the shot or is that one of yours? Because
that's his baby. He's actually a serious E30 guy. He actually has two of them. One of them he got a little fender bender, and he was tilted to replace it forever. And a few years ago, we both I got this little green one, and he's got the little red one. He's put so much money into time.
Dude, I'm not even looking forward to pulling cars out of storage. I don't talk about that too much. But I've got a 1990 300 ZX twin turbo that every time you start it costs you money. There's something to fix.
What is this? What you got pulled up there? Oh, it's
that's his white
one was his first baby.
And is that the one that he had a fender bender with? Okay. That's pretty hot. The red drop top's pretty hot.
It's so great.
Oh yeah.
It's so beautiful. But yeah, he loves that thing. He's a serious car guy. Always has been.
Oh, that's we can certainly mix it up there. That's for sure. It would be all cars all day. I mean, if I move on from cannabis, maybe that's the realm I'll go. Is that? But no, and I think that's the thing. Like you touched on, Sam is what you see, and with having that background in owning. How long has he owned Church of John? Like, how long has he been running that and doing this?
Longer than I've known him.
Wow.
We met through an after party that I booked at his club. So he's been doing that longer than I've known him, which is like, I don't even know at this point. I think he's got to be pushing a decade plus, like somewhere in that zone.
What do you, a quick question on this. Wes and I talked on our pre-banter about this, but there was a post, I forget who it was, but they were asking a loaded question. Will edibles ever outpace flower? What's your take on that?
Outpace flower? Well,
I'm assuming by sales, but in popularity, which go hand in hand.
I think it's like anything else in our market that compliance and regulation hinders that. I don't think it ever will if they keep them 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams.
10 milligrams, yeah.
Like that, I just can't see that happening when you got guys selling 300 milligram edibles on the streets for $5. Anybody actually eats that and is looking for it for like any type of medicinal effect, because edibles are very, very medicinal for any medicinal. So anybody that, actually suffers from any type of side of effect from a medical process or something like that, they need strong edibles. I'm like, I don't know if I have, or I used to have a very high tolerance for edibles, and like, you're not going to eat 40 little jubes to get 200 milligrams. You know what I mean? That's expensive. It's like,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing in this market, in the regulated market, it's very expensive. And Wes and I broke this down, I think last week or the week before, which is, I'm a frugal dude. And when I'm looking at how much THC, how many milligrams THC am I getting based on the cost, that's typically the way I assess it, other than in flower. But in the edibles and, concentrate categories, that's what I look at. So if I'm getting 250 milligrams THC for $25 versus, 10 milligrams for $6, the math doesn't work for me. But some of the standout products in those categories for edibles, I'm all over because they're just delicious. My take on it was, regardless of it being 10 milligrams, 100 milligrams, 500 milligrams, is that because of the body's response, as you said, if it's very medicinal. So because of the body's response, THC hitting, crossing the blood-brain barrier immediately, and you're stoned, right? Where edibles are, it's got to go through first pass metabolism. By the time it hits the body, passes the blood-brain barrier, completely different molecule, right? We're now talking a different molecule, so the effects will be different. So until there is certain commonality between the two, I can't see it ever. And you've got a lot of OGs too, right? Like they're not, no thanks. I don't want that beautiful blunt that you just spent an hour rolling up. I'm gonna take this gummy. It's 10 milligrams. Well, maybe I'll have 2. Right? It's just, I can't see it happening. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
Also, there's something I've noticed is that the cost of regulated distillate is the lowest it's ever been. And there's something to be said about the effects of distillate and the full spectrum stuff. Like
Absolutely.
I find that, like, a lot of the stuff on the streets is like, basically they make these full spectrum butters or oils or whatever the heck they do out of trim. That stuff fucks you up. Like that, like 10 milligrams or 100 milligrams of that stuff versus like 100 milligrams of distillate, where it's the full spectrum. You get potentially a taste of the entourage effect of all the different cannabinoids instead of isolated THC. That shit fucks you up. It's completely different. I often find that people that, like you said, like really need that medicinal value from it, they don't hit the same. They don't.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? And I feel like those things all play into the current state of the market for those.
Yeah. It is
Go ahead, Wes.
If Health Canada, let's say down the road did increase the limit and you can have 100 milligram, 500 milligram edibles, is, edibles a category next Friday would consider playing in, or are you guys traditional flower and that's kind of your game?
We like to stay in our lane. You know what I mean? We've never, Sam and I are in the kitchen whipping up chocolates and shit. You know what I mean? We've never really done that. We just stay in our lane, man. We're focused on flower. We're focused on extractions to a certain degree. We've got another version, our next kind of product innovation. We're actually doing a Chameleon Conniseeur pack made with rosin from all of our products, not resin, like actual rosin, where it's going to be 3 different types of rosin made in house. They take time to do, but vertical integration and doing things all in house ourselves is something that's very important to our brand. So us outsourcing a bunch of gummies from somebody and slapping our logo on it isn't something I think you'll see from us in the near future. But that being said, if we could figure out a way to make it very next Friday, get an actual something that we it's next Friday. It's us. It's a byproduct of our efforts and not just some cheap attempt to get into another category. Maybe you'll see it.
I like that you're staying true to your roots there. It's, if it makes sense, if there's something that, touches on, I mean, diamonds, man, let's go back to concentrates. I mean, this is where you cut your teeth, right? Like we should be seeing that. You guys don't have diamonds in market.
No, we do live resin. We put them in pens. That culture seems to be changing. Times are changing, guys.
Okay. All right.
It's not like what it used to be. People who are really into the heady dab culture consume live rosin for the most part. And live resin is becoming something that's more common to be found in pens. We're not seeing guys buy jars like they used to, like, you know what I mean? And the dab rig, it's changing. And I just, I don't think we'll do that. We might, but to basically not crash the diamonds and put a full spectrum extract into a pen is something that I personally would like to consume more. And I think there's space for that in the market. It's something that we can still set ourselves apart. Not to say there isn't other amazing live resin pens out there, but it's something where we can hold our space in the market and do something that's true to us and is a representation of our strains on the church we're calling the facility. Maybe, I don't know. I just say it's
never, Gavin. You never say never, dude. Never.
Or what it is, I'm terrified of excise tax.
Oh man, well, you had to go and ruin the entire episode with mentioning that, didn't you?
I had to. Well, there's discussions like I don't know if you guys saw it, but the Health Canada did a review of their what do you call that?
Recommendations. Yeah.
Sucks. Yeah, and I hope they change it. It does seem like a very, very frail attempt by the Liberals to be like, hey, we're going up for election this fall.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to look at the excise tax when I'm a pessimist when it comes to them and regulation, man. Like
Anytime there's politicians involved, I am a pessimist.
they just gave microbreweries a break on excise tax.
Yeah, we covered that. Yeah,
I don't
fucking
even
brutal.
know. That's crazy.
So what are your thoughts then? Because I've taken a very firm stand on this, and I've had some criticism about it because I come from the black market. And I say, listen, if you're supporting the illicit market, you're the fucking problem. And which is very difficult to say. I still have, I'll say acquaintances because I don't want to get any trouble, that are in the black market, illicit market. I'm sure you, Sam, probably have individuals, friends, acquaintances that may dabble in that market potentially. We're not going to say yes or no. But what are your thoughts on that after spending so much time, so much money, so much energy to become and operate within the regulated market? What are your thoughts on the illicit side of things? These 500 milligram chocolate bars and edibles.
My thoughts are it forces us to do better. And that is something that we have always known going to this game. It wasn't going to disappear. You can't sit around holding your breath, hoping that the government decides to put all our excise tax money to rating them, doing all this stuff. It's just something that, in my opinion, is part of the market. And then we knew it was part of the battle. Obviously, you won't catch us doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest. I have friends out there that have little grow tents and stuff. When they have an amazing crop, they're like, you got to try this. Yeah, I'll
That's
check it out.
different. That, Gavin, that's completely different. That's not packaged, branded, selling.
It's a whole different thing. So there's element of that I still can support, and I do believe in the passion of cultivation to a certain extent. Yeah. The commercialization of black market cannabis is something that we don't support. It just forces us to do better. We knew that we were going to have to basically combat that. There's a lot of things that play to our favor. We've been able to for people that can actually rise to the occasion, that can grow consistently fire crops that smoke white, pass microbials with fine colors. Those are things that we can do that they can't. That we can present consistency in our product. I know the issues, and it just forces us to be better. You know what I mean?
You may have changed my perspective on things a little bit by saying that, because you're right. And it's with anything though, right? Any business, any competition, any industry, I don't care what it is. If you feel they're on your heels, then you need to do better. It's the same with us and what we do with High Flyer and Legacies. If, we feel there's room in the industry for a ton of podcasts and ton of promotional companies. But for us, we just look at it and go, we'll pay attention, but we're not worried or intimidated. It just means we need to up the game and do better. So, same with what we're doing now. We've had a lot of feedback and compliments on, hey, the quality's there, you're getting the right guests, you're having the right conversations. And I joke and say, this is what I want to fucking do. Like, I get to sit with cool people in an industry I love and shoot the shit for an hour. Like, right? And asking questions that I genuinely want to know the answer. Like, if we met at Church of John and sat and had a drink, I'd be asking the exact same fucking questions I am right now of you. It'd be no different because I'm a curious person. And I think that our audience, they must be curious, otherwise they wouldn't tune in. But I really love that, Gavin, where, we just need to do better. And I think it's every business, every industry. So interesting take on that. Next Friday, the name, I know the story where it came from, but let's kind of put that on top, because Wes and I, we were in compliance, right? So we were with Ample. We provided, seed to sale compliance software across Canada. And we knew licensing came on a certain day. Tell us the story.
I mean, that's one of those things that just makes us who we are. You can't really fake that kind of stuff, but yeah. So rewind back to when we were building our facility. We obviously at that point of the game, everybody's big thing was we got to get licensed. That was the hard part. They're not realizing that was getting to the starting line. Getting the market,
that's just lacing your shoes up.
Oh man, we were almost naive. You know what I mean? So back to the licensing point. You build your facility, you submit your application, you do your evidence package, all that good stuff, and then you wait. And while you're waiting, you have family, friends, investors, all these people asking, when are we getting licensed? When are we getting licensed? And we eventually, after getting involved, you find out that Health Canada issues licenses every Friday, right? And what would happen is your CTLS, your security clearance would be removed on your CTLS account. So we could check on Wednesday, and if all of our security clearances were still there, we knew we weren't getting licensed
Right.
after that. So for a long time, we were telling everybody, when are we getting licensed? Well, this Friday, because they tell you, like, oh, it's 6 to 8 months roughly. And then once you get to that point, you start thinking that's going to be every Friday. You're like, yeah, this Friday.
Right. Yeah.
And, you'd go check your security clearance or CTLS account on Wednesday, and you're like, oh, shit, we're not getting licensed. And then you got to tell them next Friday. So when it came time to create a rec brand, like, we didn't want to use Astral. Sam and I wanted to create something completely new and different. And that's what we came up with. We thought it was extremely clever and some type of homage to the licensing process, if you will, and something that industry people would get that would also think it was brilliant. And it sounded cool as hell. It was just so authentic and just it was authentic. It smelled
Yeah.
effort. So much sense when we wanted to do it. Outside of the movie existing, it would have been completely
I was going to ask what, was there any feedback? Well, is it the movie? What are you talking about? Are you naming it after the movie?
It doesn't take long to explain that it wasn't, but yeah, that's the like, from a outside perspective, that's one of the first things you kind of think.
Yeah. Well, at least there's, the copyright rules don't apply with titling of films, movies, and music. So, you're fine there. How much does the influence from your music, or background with your music influence what you're doing with Next Friday?
Truth be told, almost zero. Like, they're almost two different lives. They're two different hats I wear in my life. Yeah, not much, to be honest, other than just, like, the influence of both of us, music and nightlife culture, and that kind of as translator had an impact on our brand. But outside of, like, actually having the two involved, there's not really too much involvement, to be honest with you. Except that,
Well, the reason I ask is, next Friday, you see when you're able to post, you guys, I think, still control your own socials. It's very edgy, very cool, very street vibe. You've got, I mean, it's where the brand should be, but it's just the way people's perception is, right? They see that and they think these guys are having the most fun. It's the coolest, hippest company. They don't realize all the shit going on in the background, right? It's like a duck sometimes, where the duck looks real smooth on water, but meanwhile under the water, their legs are just going like crazy. How do you deal with that? Like, do you get people thinking that you're just going to hang all day and smoke blunts and, you've got all this time in the world? Because obviously as sales, you're all over the place. And I think I caught a video or something somewhere. I don't even know if it was on Instagram, but you could see the disappointment of you having to go through security checks again. It's, you flew into the cold again and going to the car again. Explain that a little bit.
it's very easy to think that, but one thing I do know for sure, anybody that knows us firsthand sees the duck waddling its feet under the water. It very much is like that. A lot of people think we have this glamorous lifestyle. Yes, we have fun. We have our moments, but Sam, myself, and everybody at the facility, it's endless sacrifice and hard work to do this. It's not easy. You're met with all types of problems on a day-to-day basis. The roadmap to success has changed several times over. But it's hard to
It probably changes weekly.
It does. As a different perspective, anybody that actually knows who we are sees the amount of hard work it takes. Like I am constantly on the road. I've probably flown at least 25 to 30 flights this year alone.
Wow.
Traveling to every nook and cranny of this country. We believe that we never had reps, a sales rep. To even Alex, like, she's not just a rep. She's like somebody that she represents our brand in a way that she's part of the company. We don't believe, sorry, let me rephrase that. There's a common theme with a lot of companies where they will hire these brand sales rep,
sales agency model. Yeah.
It represents 6-7 different companies, and we were so against that. We believe that by Sam and I being the founders, us showing up and being able to talk face to face with these retailers carried so much more weight, and that has been our MO since day one. And that's something that I'm so grateful that Alex has been able to kind of like continue to do. Like, it doesn't feel like she's some rep out there just trying to push cases. She's representing the brand. She's representing Sam, myself, and everybody else at the facility. Uh, that's kind of I think that's kind of what I see. That's the big difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what would actually I'll save this question near the end. So right now, Chameleon Connoisseur's pack, been chasing this fucking thing forever. Is it now? Wes knows this because in the background, we say what we
I
say
hear about it.
publicly.
I hear about it every fucking week.
Yeah,
Every week.
it's like, where the fuck is it? I can't get my hands on. Now I could go get all these things individually, and I think I have said this before, where more brands need to do this. They need to give you a sample pack. There are some that do it. Sometimes it's, I think Ghost Drops does some. They've got like a trap pack. And it's funny that I see, because I want to ask about Trap House Veteran. Curious if that's the Trap House. But anyways, I think the sample pack is important if you believe in the product. And I wonder if some of the brands don't do this on purpose because they're like, oh, fuck. Yeah, if I put that one in there, they're never going to come back to our product again. So one, Chameleon Connoisseur's pack, where the fuck is it available? Two, what was the decision to do so?
Where is it available? I know in Ontario. I know we have the variety flower, dried flower split pack available.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine it's available at any store that has paid. You should ask Alex.
Alex, yeah. Well, and I'll double check to see if it was a GL, like a general listing or a flow through item.
No,
I can't recall.
So only the people that she has convinced to buy it will have it. So.
All right. Well, here's a shout to all retailers right now, especially one in my area. You have to be carrying next Friday's Chameleon Connoisseur's pack. I mean, your flower is already on fire. Pre-rolls, hand assembled, correct? Like this, we're not using knock boxes, centrifugal force to pack these up.
Are. They are packed and weighed each individual. The final touch on them is by hand. It costs us a small fortune to do that, but we like to believe that the quality of our pre-rolls is a tier above a lot of others.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for correcting me on that. And I do believe that this will be a very popular item in Ontario, especially. We're lazy in Ontario. Like I've gone back to some flower roots. We've convinced Wes to come back into flower and pre-rolls, use predominantly edibles and beverages. But I think every brand that believes or can stand behind their product should be doing something like this, like without a doubt.
So the big thing, there's two factors, and I'd have to confirm with my colleagues. But first factor is I don't think other brands will do it because everything in that pack is grown by us. It's an actual variety pack, whereas I've seen, other groups do it, and they're sourcing flower from all over the place. The other thing is in Alberta, you are actually required to have your COAs line up. There's an expiration date on it. So
okay.
Quickly, that is, if you outsource flower or you try to put it together, you'll get recalled. Like if one of them, if so, I believe it's 6 months. So let's say one of your COAs was already 3 months old when you released the product. That means it's going to expire in 3 months, whereas the other ones can be 6 or whatever. You'll actually get recalled before the entire expiration of every lot on their.
Okay.
From an internal production standpoint, it's an absolute nightmare from our packaging team, from our QA departments, but there is an absolute masterpiece of a symphony going on there at the shop where they put it all together. We're getting all of our COAs are in line with each other, packaging in line with each other, so that product can actually be out there and won't have those compliance issues. Whereas that is a logistical nightmare for any shop that doesn't grow all of their own weed. That is, yes, it's a lot of work, but somewhere that we could do something nobody else does.
Adding that context makes a lot of sense because I am familiar with that world of QA and COAs, and and sometimes you don't even know when you're getting it back. You could have a harvest; it sat there on the lot. You get the samples sent out. Not all labs are created equally, right? And depending on when we receive those samples, you may not get that COA back in a timely manner. So that does make a lot of sense. Okay, I'll keep that in mind moving forward. Outside of next Friday, legal, not illicit, not Buddies Growing. Which brand do you enjoy? And it's okay to say none. They don't fucking live up to where I'm sitting, bro. But
so I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but Lot 420 is a group.
Oh yeah, we're familiar with Lot 420. Yeah.
So they actually made it possible for us to get into the Quebec market.
Okay.
And that's something from an outside perspective, you would never think that two brands in the exact same category could coexist, let alone work together. So I have nothing but the endless gratitude and respect for Stefan and everybody else at Lot 420, just because they're a brand that I admire. their weeds is of the same quality, or they respect the same things that are important with products as we do. So they're somebody without a doubt that I believe has, if they're a brand I admire, it's somebody who's weed I'd smoke any day.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's shout out to Loft 420. They're definitely the one that pops up in mind just because, we have a working relationship together, and that's something where in this cutthroat world is very rare.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you're right, their weed is good, especially the off menu, like incredible stuff. Yeah. No, that's great. Okay, so last question then. What is the future for next Friday? Like, I mean, we went through a lot of stuff. You've got, you go from controlling pests and microcrop to brands, and you've got, I don't know where the fuck Sam is, off in Guadalajara chasing some tequila. Maybe there's some tequila-inspired cannabis cultivars to come out of this. But, there's somewhat blue sky. Obviously, we're going to go through some turbulence over the next 6 months, a year, 2 years even. Where do you want to see next Friday within the next couple years anyways?
Anywhere overseas.
Okay. Yeah. All righty. Maybe let's narrow that in a little bit, because there's obviously a lot. Now, you guys have done some export already though, correct?
Yeah, we have. We've exported to Portugal before, and we recently got our control union license in December. So we've been at the preliminary phases of establishing supply agreements in Australia, Portugal, Israel, and Germany. Those are all the big markets right now that are, well, obviously, what day is it? Germany went legal 2 days ago.
Okay.
So we're expanding on that. I do believe that there's huge potential in the international markets. A lot of these countries or areas aren't built to the same spec and standards, like our neighbors down south, for example. Like if they ever go legal, I do believe there's going to be a huge surge for Canadian brands and LPs just because we're built to an international standard, whereas they just simply aren't.
Right.
So I see a lot of potential and blue skies, if you will, in the export market, and being able to take our brand to the world, which has always been, one of our main prerogatives here. Canada obviously is the most immediate market to get into, but taking your product or brand to every single legal country there is in the world is something that is providing hope in this time right now.
Okay. I like that. I think there is obviously a lot of attention, especially with Germany. So I still consult with a company overseas, which, we're in the neck deep in cannabis all day long. And there are some naysayers in the European market that are like, hold on, like, fuck, once Portugal's rocking, we'll supply enough cannabis for all of Europe. Like we don't need any Canadian cannabis. And then Israel obviously was very vocal on some, we'll call it nefarious activities that were happening with some of the supply that was going on there. But I think you're right. I think that, one is, EU GMP is a thing, and it's not just a buzzword. There are a lot of claims, we'll say, that, we're a fully EU GMP compliant facility. I've been in them. There's no way some of these facilities are EU GMP. To give reference to that, even in Jamaica, we had customers in Jamaica, and we went to a lab that was literally a wood shack, and it had an EU GMP. It's literally printed off someone's, laser printer. It said EU GMP certified. That's it. And it was stuck. At first, I thought it was just a joke. I'm like, oh, this is a joke, right? And they're like, no, we're EU GMP certified. I'm like,
by who?
There's no fucking way. Like, it's a wood shack, literally a wood shack.
Hey, don't
So
make
I think
wood shacks, man. That's my tissue culture lab you're talking about.
yeah, we're just gonna throw up some black and white, and we'll seal it with some tuck tape, and we'll be good. That's funny. Gavin, you've been awesome. I love the openness, and sharing your conversation with us. Let's do this. My wife got me onto this. I want to try this. So you don't know who the next guest is going to be next week. I would like you to ask a question of them that we will pose to them. No context. You don't get any context. You don't get to know who it is. But just pose a question. They could be cannabis. They may not be even cannabis.
Oh man, that is a tough question.
And it can't be, how would you fly a helicopter with a bunch of styrofoam peanuts? I used to do that in interviews all the time. It would fuck people right up.
You're gonna embarrass me with this. Now you're putting me on the spot.
It could be literally anything.
You know what? This is gonna be right now, in my opinion, is one of the toughest times in this industry, and it's something that with so much negativity and so many hurdles to overcome on a day-to-day basis. It's pretty easy to seem. It's easy to look at things as very, very bleak. What keeps you as a brand, as a person, as a cultivator or extractor, whatever it is you do? What keeps you going? What makes you think that? What gives you faith that this is all going to be worth it, or that it's not what everybody else says it's going to be? Like, because there's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of people that think that this is going to turn into alcohol industry where it's held by three different brands, which is totally possible. And I don't even disagree that that's going to be the case. But what keeps you going and motivated to continue to do better, especially when we're living in an industry where cutting corners is always becoming a business model? How can you make the cheapest piece of shit out there to sell to people? How do you keep doing what you do as a brand, as a person, in these trying times, if you will?
I like it. That's a great question. We'll certainly ask that question. Maybe we even play the video. We'll figure it out technically. But
yeah, I'll play the video. I got one final question for Gavin though. What model phone is the best burner phone? Were you a Nokia 3310 kind of guy, or what's the best burner phone?
It's funny you asked that.
The cheapest and most available, Wes, don't you know?
Not the really nice Huawei, the one below, is actually what I have right here. And
Nice.
a funny story.
How many phones do you have?
Just two. I actually lost it in a field at one of our shops in the middle of the winter. And I drove over it with a tractor. The screen was all fucked. And I found it in the spring and I picked it up. I plugged it in and it turned right on.
What?
Oh,
And
shit.
the battery lasts like 5 days compared to these pieces of shit iPhones. So
Oh my
a
God.
Huawei, I think it's a P1 something, P10 or something. I can't remember. Whatever the Huawei is, not the big one, the light one. So it actually fits your head. That's the best burner phone.
There you go.
We need apps and stuff these days, like you can't do much playing Snake and making phone calls.
Like my first was out of the Nokia era, and I moved into Motorola. It was the Motorola Razr. Not so much a burner phone at the price point. Back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, it was like $1,200 or something like that. It was stupid. Anyways, Gavin, thanks so much for joining Legacies. We appreciate you, man. You've been doing a fabulous fucking job. Continue to do that. We'll keep on the lookout for a Chameleon Connoisseurs pack. So just to satisfy my own needs and desires, but we appreciate you, man. You've been awesome.
Thank you. Right back at you guys, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course. Hey everyone, if you're like me, you get overwhelmed by the product selection in this crazy cannabis market. Every 2 weeks, we drop a digital flyer with a curated list or featured products that you'll want to try. Subscribe to our digital flyer at thehighflyer.ca, and you can also check out our historical flyers to see the products that we featured with a selection that I approve of, and Wes certainly does. Check it out at thehighflyer.ca. Well, it was finally nice to have Gavin on. I didn't know if it would ever happen.
Yeah, so elusive, but we finally got him,
and as we got 50% of the Sam and Gavin team. Love the backstory. I like trying to find. So for those listening, obviously we do research. We're not just coming into this. Late last night, I was inundating you with check this out, check that out, right? But I like to unfold that story, and I like to surprise our guests with, tell me about this, and have them like almost, what was that MTV Nardwar?
Oh, Nardwar.
Yeah. One day I'll get there where I can find some. So you once had this happen to me. Like, how the fuck did you know that?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the questions the Nardwar asks, I'm like, you would have to know that person.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'll figure out a way to get there. But no, it's nice to see, individuals that are very true to the brand, very true, obviously, to their craft. I'm glad we got to ask about, because it's always puzzled me. I mean, typically you don't see this a lot where you've got, the legacy type growers, cultivators, or even operators move in, and now they're TC, they're tissue culture all day long. And they have a massive, I don't know if you've ever seen the clips. Sam's been in the lab showcasing, so like it's thousands of cultivars they have in test tubes just waiting. So it was nice to have him on. Unfortunately, Sam couldn't join. He's off chasing some tequila. Sam, we still want you at some point.
Oh yeah, we still got to get him.
Yeah,
And maybe we'll get him to do a live stream where he calls us from the E30 and he's driving along the
dude, that would be cool. And especially being a car guy, I can relate. All right. So next week we did ask that question. We'll make sure that we play that for our next guest. We won't say that yet, just in case Gavin gets a hold of this. I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Anyway, so that'll be interesting.
We'll throw a teaser next week as we usually do, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it was great. Well, until next week, everyone, thanks for joining Legacies. We appreciate your support.